Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Business Success Society, an online community of small and solo business owners who we work together to help each other with tips and tricks and how to get forward in business. There will be comments later on how you can join that. If you're not in Facebook and you're looking for it, then just search for Business Success Society. And you will find it, and that's why it's got a slightly quirky name so that people can find it. So this morning we have got something a little bit special. It's our Social Friday, and we have got a conversation with Jane Brindley of Horse Riding with Confidence Scotland. So I'm going to bring her on now. We're both wearing earbuds because we had sound problems the other day, and we hope that that's going to reduce the problems that we had with the sound. So give me 1 second. I'll press that button and approve her. Oh, that's not working right. Okay, there we go. Look and see whether she comes on. And then I've got to try and work out where I sit in here. Hi
Hello,
there.
can you see me? Yes.
I can see you, and the sound is perfect.
I know, it's good. It's good. I can hear you.
Brilliant.
There's no delay for
Really,
me.
really good.
Yeah,
It's absolutely
excellent.
fantastic. So,
Good.
if
Can I
you're
just
watching on,
apologize to people because there is a bit of chaos going on in my house. We've got painters and joiners here, so there might be a little bit of banging and clattering. And
oh,
I am sitting on my bed because it's the only place I could find where I wouldn't be disturbed. So I've got the laptop sitting on a pillow on my knee on the
all
bed.
right.
So if I get a bit wobbly, anyway, that's me.
Anyway,
Yeah, we're ready
you're
to
doing
start.
fine so far. It's all
Oh,
working
good,
so well.
good.
Excellent.
Morning,
Thank you,
everyone.
Shona. Thank you. So all the sound is good. Shona tells us that the sound is good. Andy's here as
Excellent.
well, so that's
Thank you.
fantastic.
Hi,
So
everyone.
if you're watching on replay, then if you type a comment in, and we can hopefully try and answer your questions, that would be fantastic. And if you're watching on any other medium, then type comments in and we'll get back to you at some other point.
Okay.
So here we are. This is the second in our series of conversations with. I think the last one seemed to go down quite well, so we've done it again.
Yeah.
And if you would like to participate yourself, we're going to try and do it maybe once a month,
Mm-hmm.
then give me a shout and we'll grab a coffee or a Skype call and have a little chat about what you can share with the group, or what you'd like to share with the group, and what the group might find interesting and of value. So that's kind of the background of it. I've known Jane. She's actually a personal friend as well. I've known Jane for a
Yay.
number of years.
I know. How long is it?
um,
It's ages, I think. I don't know.
it's
More than
ages,
10.
ages.
More than 10, less than 15, maybe.
Something like that, yes.
Yeah.
So yes, and have seen some of her journey personally, but I'll invite her to talk about it in a little while. Although the business is entitled Horse Riding with Confidence, as you will discover, the techniques and the ideas behind it all are very relevant to pretty much all of us and most of us in
Yes,
business. So
definitely.
Jane, why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey and
Okay.
how you've got to be where you are sitting today on your
Gosh,
bed on
yes.
Facebook Live?
Oh dear. Yes. So, oh gosh, where do you start? Anyway, I won't start right at the beginning because that's a long, long time ago. But I was working as a community midwife for many years and loved my job. But things changed and I needed a change. I needed a career change. So I just sort of gave that up suddenly one Christmas and had some time off and did some admin work for my husband's business, but wasn't satisfied by that at all. So started thinking and planning and looking around for what to do next. And found out about a very good course in hypnosis and psychotherapy, which was taught at quite a challenging academic level, sort of postgrad level. And so I applied for that and started it and loved it from day one, found it absolutely fascinating. And at the same time, I'm a horse rider. And so I was riding my horse, but never the most confident of riders. So quite quickly, as I was doing the course, I started to apply what I was learning to myself and to my horse riding, and noticed an absolutely massive change in how far I was prepared to push myself, my thinking and my beliefs about myself and my riding, and found that I was starting to enjoy riding a huge amount more. So when I qualified, I thought I would set up in practice, and I thought I would sort of start advertising my services to horse riders to see if there was any uptake, any people like me who would benefit from changing their mindset regarding the horse riding. So I stuck an ad in the local sort of freebie horsey magazine that everybody picks up at when they buy horse feed, and was inundated. This is 15 years ago. This was 2004. Inundated by riders going, "Oh my God, I've been terrified. I've been really worried. I'm really holding myself back. I find excuses not to ride my horse, etc." So there was obviously a niche and a need for these services. And so I started sort of two parallel approaches in my business. Jane Brindley hypnotherapy for people with normal everyday anxieties, phobias, personal issues, all sorts. And then the Horse Riding with Confidence Scotland to help the horse riders. And as I say, 15 years ago, there was a huge need, and there still is. But in that time, the whole sports psychology ethos has grown. People are much more aware of mindset and so on. So I've had to keep evolving and keep ahead of the posse, if you like, with developing the business. And over the 15 years, I have gradually become more and more interested in the horse riding side of it, and the non-riding side of it I've allowed to shrink to the extent I no longer advertise Jane Brindley hypnotherapy at all, and it doesn't really exist anymore. And I focus totally on the horse riding side of it, though I will see non-riding clients. And on the services page of my website, there's a section for life therapy. So I do get some non-riding clients still, and through word of mouth, or people who just sort of find me by accident. So yes, I will certainly see non-riding people, but my focus is on horse riders. And in that time, as I say, I've evolved what I do to, because one disadvantage of the way I work is it's all done off the horse. It's all in a safe environment where people are totally comfortable and relaxed, and not sitting on horseback, which often makes them anxious. But that can be a negative for the business. So particularly over the last 5 years, I've made huge links with riding coaches and instructors and trainers, and worked in tandem with them so that the rider can apply what I'm telling them for their mindset, and link it in with technical riding skills from the coach. So I now do, the basis of my business is kind of one-to-one clients for personal riding therapy. But I do quite a lot of talks at riding clubs and camps, and all sorts of riding events and workshops where I usually have a link with a riding coach or trainer. And we might have some classroom-based sessions with me, and then some practical riding sessions with the coach. So that's where I am now.
Right. I'm just thinking,
yes.
it's quite a good illustration of the whole customer avatar stuff that we've been talking about as well. She says as our earbud falls out, that you found that laser sharp thing of what you can really do and where you can really bring a benefit, and have really focused in on that one thing, and that business has therefore grown and developed.
Yes, that's right.
That's
right.
Yes. So I think, and I heard you speak at a Women in Business event.
Yes.
Last year, was it?
I
And
think it seems like a while ago, but I think it was just last year,
I
February.
think it was last,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
maybe about 18 months ago,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah.
maybe, yeah. And what really kind of struck a chord with me is how, not many of us in this group, some of us are horse riders, but not many of us are horse riders, but how
No.
your techniques can be applied to us as people in business, and maybe also obviously in other sports or other things
Definitely.
that
Yes.
they do, whether that's performing or I do a bit of singing or whatever. So
Yes.
can you kind of tell us how your techniques can really apply to all of us, not just those of us who sit on the
Definitely.
back of a horse?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Well, most of the people who come to see me have, at the end of the day, got anxiety of some sort, and it comes out in their horse riding. Um, and that anxiety might come from what they're telling themselves, what they believe about themselves, all sorts of past experiences. So those things definitely apply to anybody in any area of their life. Um, when I first started doing this, a few people came to see me saying, "Jane, please make me never anxious again." And I initially thought that was my job, to try and make people never anxious. And then I quite quickly realized that that isn't my job at all, that anxiety is an absolutely 100% normal part of being a human being. And so my job is to help people to understand that, recognize it, understand a bit about the kind of neuropsychology of what's going on and where it's coming from and why they're experiencing anxiety and how to deal with it. So yeah, sport, self-belief, business, anything. And that talk that I did for you for the women's lunch, I just adapted a standard talk that I do for horse riders, which is 5 steps to riding confidence. I just changed that to 5 steps to confidence in business. And that was
Mm-hmm.
very simply, the 5 steps are very simple in that sort of, where are you now? Where do you want to be? What are you going to do? What preparation are you going to do to get there? Managing the anxiety and the use of visualization. So most people in this group will have done goal setting and all that sort of thing
Yeah.
in other fields. So I certainly not going to go into that now. But the one thing that I really feel is important about goal setting, I think this is something which maybe people in this group would benefit from, is you've probably all heard of SMART goals, SMART.
Mm.
And the A of that is achievable. Now, people often talk about, you've got to set sort of goals that are far out there so that you've got something big to aim for. And yes, there's absolutely no reason why not to do that, to aim. I would never say to somebody, don't aim high. But if that's too far away from where you are now, then it becomes overwhelming.
Mm.
And it can actually have a negative effect on your confidence, because you think, I'm here and I
But
want to
I'm
be
never
way
going to
up
get
there.
there. Yeah.
How the heck am I going to get there?
Yeah.
So that can have a huge negative effect. But if you say, I'm here and my first goal is to get here, then that is really achievable. And so you can achieve that quite quickly. And then you can give yourself a huge pat on the back and feel pleased and proud about having achieved that short-term goal. And then you reset.
Yeah. Yeah.
So using goals in that way is a huge confidence booster, because you're quickly achieving goals. So in business, you'll know more about this than I will, but you might set a goal to
Or
increase
to
your
double your
yeah
turnover or
yeah
something by the end of the
yes
year, but set mini goals for each
yes
month or whatever,
yes
and
that's
yeah,
right.
that you can
So
actually say, I've ticked that
yes,
off, I've
so
done that.
then your
Yeah.
confidence will grow.
Yeah.
And then things like in the 5 steps, the kind of managing the stress side of it, then yes, that's going to have a huge application for all of us. So an example that just comes to mind with that is, a lot of people these days seem to get really nervous about making a phone call. We're so used to
Oh,
emails
yes.
and
Yeah.
texting
Yeah.
and so on. But, phone calls still have their place, and we have to speak to people. So say that's something that somebody's got a thing about, kind of speaking to strangers on the phone, then that might be somewhere that you can apply simple changes to yourself. Because I very, very much believe that we believe what we tell ourselves.
Yes.
So if we're telling ourselves that the phone call is going to be a problem, then we believe it's going to be a problem. So it becomes a problem.
So it becomes a problem. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So this is just kind of cognitive distortion, that we just believe what our mind is telling us in our self-talk. So we challenge that. And sorry, I'm just laughing because I've got the phone sitting on top of the laptop, and the laptop's kind of behind, so I can see my hands waving around in the background.
Yes,
Didn't realise quite how much I use my hands.
The laptop will be behind.
Anyway,
so it's very off-putting.
Given that we believe what we tell ourselves. So if we take that phone call as an example, instead of saying to ourselves, I don't want to speak to somebody because they'll think I'm stupid and they won't want to talk to me, we say, well, how would we feel if somebody contacted us with something interesting to say to us? Then we probably would be quite happy to take that call. If we weren't happy to take that call, we would presumably be polite and say, thanks for your call, it's not convenient to chat at the moment, but let's arrange a time to speak when it is convenient. Or we might say, my mind's gone blank. But yeah, we would change what we were telling ourselves about that call. So we would change what we believe about that call, and the outcome would be different.
Yes.
So we change our thinking, which changes our behavior and our mindset, and changes the outcome. So there's a very clear process there, which starts with challenging the thinking.
Yes, I think that's actually quite a good example to choose, because I think these days people are much more, it used to be particularly, if you were selling, you knew you had to get on the phone and just phone people all day long. And now, and apparently particularly younger people really, really struggle with getting on the phone. At least we're all kind of used to it, having done it for years. Benefit of being an oldie, but even so, it is that thing of or when you have a difficult phone call to make, or you think it might be difficult. So that's probably something that a lot of people struggle with at some point. I mean, there are, of course,
and the classic cognitive distortion is mind reading. So we think we know what the other person at the other end of the phone is thinking, but actually we don't, and we never can. Even people we know extremely well, we can't mind read. So
no,
classically we think that they think something about us, whereas in fact most people are more interested in themselves than they are in us. In how most people are more interested in how they are feeling than how we are.
That's also true.
Yes.
So that's quite a good example for people in business. I mean, I suppose when we chatted, was it last week? Was it last Friday we had a coffee?
Yes.
So the weeks go by so quickly.
I know.
We were talking about, people might say, oh, I don't have to stand up and do public speaking. I mean, I do a bit of that now, and I'm always up for doing it, because every time I do it, I think I learn something about me and about myself, and practice. Doing it to smaller groups, so it's always a little bit less threatening. But even just pitching for business, which most of us have to do at some point, sometimes you'll find yourself in a situation where, it's more, something maybe a little bit more than a one-to-one conversation, and that's performance. I mean, it is absolutely, you have to get there and put on some kind of performance and get yourself ready for that.
Yes, definitely. And I've certainly had quite a few clients over the years who, one comes to mind from many years ago, obviously have to be careful about confidentiality here, but somebody who was holding themselves back from applying for promotion because the promoted post would involve chairing meetings.
Right.
And that was a huge issue for them. And so while this person wasn't actually standing up and giving a presentation as in on a stage, you know, you kind of what you might classically imagine as public speaking, chairing a meeting there's no difference really. You're on show, you're performing, you're having to give your best. So with somebody like that, then, you know, you start by challenging what he's believing about what other people might be thinking about him. But then with somebody like that, I would use a lot of, well, I'd probably use hypnosis to get into that unconscious mind, to help embed any changes of belief unconsciously, but also to do a lot of mental rehearsal, visualization. Most people in the group, you know, you will have come across sort of using visualization in all sorts of different areas, but I actually prefer the term mental rehearsal because that implies use of all our senses. And if we're, our mind is hugely powerful. And there's a huge amount of evidence to suggest if we mentally rehearse something, then we're creating the same neural pathways as if we do it in reality.
Yes.
If you know, go back to sport for a minute, golfers will mentally rehearse their swing or their putt many times, so that when they do it in reality, they've already done it, and that involves all their senses. You know, very what they see, what they feel, what they hear, what they're physically doing at that time.
Yes,
and so you can go on.
Sorry, I went to a presentation by Dr. David Hamilton last year.
Yes.
And he actually was presenting all of that and had really good scientific backup in terms of control groups of people who had, and we were particularly talking about tennis, this particular talk was, people who had actually physically practiced a serve, people who had mentally sort of rehearsed, and people who had just watched videos of other people serving, you know, again and again. And so just a video of Andy Murray stepping up, doing a serve, repeat, and their performance improved as well.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it?
It's absolutely fascinating, totally fascinating. So yes, it is something. I'm also a big fan of the power pose thing. I think that's something I've used, and that actually came up in another group I was in the other day. But what was absolutely fascinating is that I had to use it at one point, but I couldn't do it, if you see what I mean. So I had to visualize it. I had to visualize doing the power pose, and it still works. Yeah. So, you know, because you can't always stand there and do your power pose. It's not always appropriate.
Yes. But I think if you visualize it, so if you sort of see a picture of yourself doing it, isn't quite as effective as if you, what will it feel like if I'm in that position? What will other people see? So you can visualize, when you're using a visual sort of mental rehearsal, you can do it from what we call an associated point of view, which is seeing it through your own eyes. Or you can do it from a dissociated point of view, where you're imagining what somebody would see looking at you. So that's almost like watching yourself on a movie screen.
Right. Okay.
So you can sort of go on.
No, I was just saying time is moving on, and I think we could probably both talk for hours on this. But what I wanted to do at this point was invite any questions. Has anybody? And it takes a while for them to come through, because there's a lag. So I just wondered if anybody who is actually watching at the moment had any questions, and we could invite them to type them in. Can you see the questions as well, Jane, or is it just me?
I can see. I'm not in kind of real time.
Right. Okay. So you're on. Yeah. So you've got the laptop running as well with the questions.
The laptop's going. The last comment I can see is Claire France saying morning both 19 minutes ago. So maybe they've gone. Maybe
got anything to say then, or comments. Doesn't have to be a question. If anybody has any comments or questions, then we'll burble on for another couple of minutes and see whether there are any.
And I will check back the comments later over the next day or two as well. And if there are any questions either directed at Kat or at me, then, you know, either or both of us can answer them.
Yes, and I'm hoping Fiona has now found sound because she said she'd got no sound,
Right.
but I have to say
Yes.
because everybody else had sound, I was kind of hoping it was just her.
Her
So hopefully
glitch.
she's
Yes.
found her sound now.
Yes. Yes.
As ever, as I say, it is incredibly interesting. The power of our minds is
Hmm.
just unbelievable, really, and for
Yes.
good and for bad. So we can really
Oh, Fiona says she has
use.
got sound. It wasn't. Yes.
Oh, yes, it was just
Yes.
her.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, our minds are very powerful, and can be a really positive influence, but definitely can be a negative influence. And we could talk ourselves, as you say, out of anything.
Out of anything. I know. I know. Yes. Yes. The horse riding, I think, is a special case because it's really the only sport where the tool of the sport is also a living being.
Mm. Mm.
And
Yes, yes.
the horse is a prey animal, so has evolved over the millennia to run away from things that worry it. And so can be a huge issue for riders. And I did a talk once at the local ladies golf club, and I just did the same kind of 5 steps to golf confidence.
Mm.
And these ladies spent the whole evening trying to persuade me that their golf clubs had minds of their own, like a horse did, and
Yes.
they weren't satisfied when I didn't believe them.
Yes, I mean,
But
and it's definitely there was something which I'll find. It flew past me on Facebook this morning about dogs, and
mm-hmm.
if which is interesting because they're quite often saying about dogs, which can be a calming influence and a very positive influence on you.
Right.
But if they were saying if you have a very stressed out owner, then the dog can get stressed.
Oh yeah, they always say that the owner's tension goes down the lead,
Mm.
and
Yes.
with the horse it goes down the reins.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes. Oh, here's a
it's
comment from Fiona, a horse riding thing. Fiona, as you know, I loved my horse riding experience last year, even though I fell off and broke my wrist. Oh gosh, Fiona. I hope you recovered. I hope it hasn't put you off.
Well, that's yes. Well, Fiona, can you post your photograph again for everybody in this group? Because Fiona went on a fabulous trip last year, and
Mm-hmm.
there's an absolutely brilliant photograph of her on horseback, which I just love. I just
Oh
absolutely adore
right,
this
excellent.
photograph. Which when you see it, you'll know why. You'll see
Mm-hmm.
just before she
Oh yeah,
fell
please
off.
do, Fiona. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
So I think, as I say, we could talk all morning, but
We could.
I
Yes.
think we'll draw it to a close now. The
Mm-hmm.
training in Bulgaria is very different to our Western way. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I suppose it would be.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Yes. Gosh, Bulgaria. Yes. My husband's going to Bulgaria next week
oh,
to climb the highest mountain in the Balkans.
oh,
I don't know
right.
what it's called.
Oh, I was going to say, what's it called? Right.
I don't know.
You
I
don't
think I
know.
want to say Masala or something.
Oh, right. Okay.
I could be wrong, but I've heard
Right.
mention of something masala, and I keep saying chicken tikka masala, but I think it's could be Mount Masala.
Mount
I'm not sure.
Masala.
I'm not
I'm
sure.
sure. I'm sure
Yeah.
Mr. Google will help us there.
Yes, I'll look it up
So,
later.
thank you so much for this.
My
I
pleasure.
think I've enjoyed the chat as well. I think it's not a scary experience, is it? Doing
This?
this
No, not
Facebook
at
Live?
all.
No.
No, anybody. I'd love to see. I
Yeah.
mean, I enjoyed Shona's last month,
Mm,
and I'm sure there'll be other members of the group
mm.
who will be up for this as well. So go for it.
So,
And you get a free coffee
and
from Kat
oh
when you
yes,
have
you
your
get
little
free coffee. Yes.
pre live meeting.
So thank
Yes,
you very much. We'll draw
my
that to a
pleasure.
close now. If people are watching elsewhere who are not in the group, then it's Facebook group Business Success Society. If you'd like to come
Mm-hmm.
and join us in the group and participate, that would be lovely. So thank you very, very much indeed, Jane. And I hope everybody has a fantastic day and
Yes,
a fantastic weekend in whatever
yeah,
you are doing. Thanks very
exactly.
much.
Yes, my pleasure. Bye for
Bye
now.
now.